Let's take a look at the starting lineups, beginning with the visiting Toronto Raptors. And as we mentioned off the top, a lot of changes. An entirely new front line. Vince Carter will get the start as he makes his NBA regular season debut. Tracy McGrady is going to come off the bench. And as Paul Jones said, Brian, one of the keys for the Raptors this year, Alvin Williams play at the point.
Well, he's 6'5". He can play both defense and offense, and he has to assume the reins at his ball club. They'll give it to him if he earns it.
Butch Carter got the interim job last year when Darrell Walker was let go, and now he is the full-time coach trying to improve upon the record he compiled in part of one season last year. For the Boston Celtics, a young, quick, athletic team. Tony Matee in the middle, a little undersized, but very athletic. Paul Pierce looks outstanding out of Kansas. In the backcourt, Kenny Anderson and Ron Mercer will get the start. Says the knee's about 90%.
Well, you got to watch that knee, but Mercer is a great shooter. He gets elevation. If he gets it tonight, he'll be tough to stop.
Rick Pitino's had success with the Knicks, with Providence, with Boston University, and most of all with Kentucky. He won a national championship with the Wildcats a couple of years ago. He's got 3 of his former Kentucky players on the Boston Celtics, and they're trying to take that college style and bring it to the NBA. And so far, it looks like they might be on the right track.
And 3 excellent offensive players, I might add.
And right off the bat, losing the handle is Mercer, as he had a chance to get to the basket, but it's still Boston ball.
Well, one of the things that the Celtics want to do tonight is get up and down the court, Dan. They want to run Toronto into the ground. They want to try to beat the forwards down and at the same time apply pressure defensively.
Celtics beat the Raptors handily in both preseason games by 18 and by 21. Here's Pierce, the outstanding rookie, 10th overall pick. Kenny Anderson. Rebound, Antoine Walker tried the unselfish feed, but he threw it out of bounds.
Well, one of the things that Kenny Anderson does well is distribute the basketball. He's an average shooter at best. You don't normally want to see your point guard start the ball game with that kind of long-range jump shot.
Here's Oakley, one of the new acquisitions for the Raptors. Doug Christie trying to post up on Mercer, and Mercer blocked it. Anderson pushes it the other way. Walker going to work on Oakley. It's a tough matchup for Oakley because Walker's so much quicker. That time Oakley used the body to kind of knock him off stride.
Antoine Walker knows it's Charles Oakley. He'll be game for that matchup all evening long. When he sees Oakley in isolation, he'll try to take him. The young guy using his legs. Oakley
misses the jumper at the other end. Still scoreless as Walker goes to the basket. And he turns it over. Nobody's got a good grip on the ball so far.
And unusual to see the Celtics come out and not distribute the basketball spread to court. You got to have more passing to open up the middle and less dribbling.
I guess you write it off to opening night jitters a little bit. Everybody trying to do a little bit too much early. There's Willis getting free, maybe stepped, slams it home, and the Raptors draw first blood.
And Kevin Willis certainly can give the Raptors some advantage tonight. He has the experience, the size at 7 feet, and also the muscle down inside. If they can get him posted up, he'll be effective.
Of all the teams the Raptors will play, this may be one of the best matchups for Willis and one of the worst for Oakley because of the players they have to guard. Backdoor, Kenny Anderson, and a foul is called on Oakley. No basket on the play.
You know, when players experience pressure on a perimeter, when you go out to the foul line extended and you feel that pressure, you can reverse right back to the basket. You don't even have to speak about it. As soon as you see that pressure extend, bang, go to the basket. A good basketball team will deliver the backdoor pass.
At the line, Kenny Anderson trying to get the Celtics on the board, 1.5 minutes in. Anderson, of course, the player acquired from Portland in the Damon Stoudemire deal, who refused to report to Toronto and wound up getting traded here to Boston. Heard a lot of boos at Skydome 10 days ago in the preseason game.
Anderson's a key factor, Dan, because when he plays on the court with the Celtics, their field goal percentage elevates. Last year, they shot 42% in games that he did not play in, 47 and change in games that he did play in.
And the Celtics had a lot of easy looks in the exhibition games against Toronto. There's Willis trying to go to work. Over Battie, way strong. Oakley the rebound, has it stripped.
Oakley made the right move there when he delivered the pass. He went right to the glass, and he actually got his hands on the offensive board.
Walker puts it on the floor. Underneath, a travel is called on Battie, but a nice creating job by Walker just to get Battie that look.
And Battie tried to elevate the defense. He gave the little pump fake, but while he moved the ball up, he also shuffled his feet.
Kind of a sluggish start offensively, tied at 2, more than 2 minutes in. We've got a foul up top. Antoine Walker's waiting for the call and doesn't believe it's on him.
One of the things that the Raptors want to do is they want to try to get everybody involved in offense early in the ballgame. It's been a slow start, as you mentioned, Dan, but it's important that players get loose. They warm up, they come out. Everybody's tense. It's opening night. They all want to do their best. They got to get their hands on the basketball. Hopefully shots will be distributed. You get a player loose, you have him for the rest of the game.
Christie tries to go by Mercer. Christie actually hung on the rim for a while. The officials confer and will award the ball to the Celtics. Christie trying to go to work on a Mercer, testing out that knee. Mercer wearing a huge brace on the right knee. Anderson gets a screen to get free of Williams. Now Walker, and that's trouble. Walker just has too much foot speed for Charles Oakley.
And he has explosive leaping ability. He was from the ground to over the basket in a second flat.
5th in the league in scoring last year at better than 22 points a game. Here's Willis, pass knocked away. Another turnover. Numbers for the Celtics. Mercer can't finish.
And, you know, Kenny Anderson delivered the ball to Ron Mercer just a little bit behind him, and that threw Mercer off on the angle on the glass.
At the other end, Christie buries the 15-footer to tie the game at 4.
You can't give Doug Christie that shot. If he gets down the court and gets his feet down into the foul line area, he's an excellent jump shooter.
We have yet to call the name of Vince Carter, who has not been very involved at all at the offensive end, making his NBA debut. Mercer spinning on Christie, one of the better defenders in the league. Walker again puts it on the floor, misses the short one.
Well, Walker went by Oakley to the right that time. Last time down the court, he dunks the ball going to the left. He's ambidextrous. He goes both ways. A very difficult player to guard.
Oakley misses the baseline jumper, and again, Kenny Anderson and the Celtics looking to run at every opportunity. And a foul at the other end as Anderson goes down hard.
If Kenny Anderson gets in the middle of the court, he is not going to wait for you. He's going to explode down the middle. You see Anderson in the middle right here. He just goes and says, if you're on the wing, beat me down, I'll distribute the ball. Otherwise, he's going to make his move to the basket.
An inadvertent trip by Alvin Williams as he's called for the foul. The Celtics have it. Pierce, he and Carter both quiet so far. Pierce baseline, and Carter got caught looking away. Pierce faked him out with his eyes, and Carter was forced to foul him.
Raptors foul to number 15, Vince Carter.
And you see here, Vince Carter gets beat on the baseline. You got to watch out. You'll see Oakley come into the screen right here. Nobody dropped down. Doug Christie watching the play. Antoine Walker was all alone on the low post. If Oakley has to help on the baseline penetration, the guards have to get down and give some help on the weak side.
Anderson gives the Celtics the lead. 4 points for Anderson. Boston by 2.
It's really important that Kenny Anderson emerge as the leader that they believe he can be here in Boston this year. You've got to have a great point guard if you're going to make a move up the standings.
Christie forces. Here's the rebound underneath for Willis, and he'll put it back in. And if nothing else, Willis and Oakley will help the Raptors tremendously on the glass.
And there's that experience. Kevin Willis moves up to the basket and takes the shot with his left hand, protecting the basketball with his body.
Antoine Walker for 2.
You see early in the season, Oakley was out in the area where Antoine Walker was, but not with a hand up contesting the shot. You've got to come out in the defense. You've got to get your hand up, a little bit of fatigue without that extended training camp.
In the absence of Michael Jordan, somebody fresh is going to win a scoring title this year, and it just might be Antoine Walker.
They believe he can do it here, and certainly he's going to have the opportunity, Dan, because although he's a young player, it also is a young basketball team, and they're looking for leadership. Rick Pitino says, I've committed Antoine Walker as the cornerstone of the rebuilding of this franchise. They trust him.
And Walker, one of those players Pitino had at Kentucky. Vince Carter with his first basket in the NBA. You see the great leaping ability, as he should be able to create his own shot anytime he wants.
And Vince Carter's not a great scorer yet from the outside, but he is an excellent scorer from the middle range. If he gets in the 12, 14-foot range, he can hurt you because he leaps so well.
There's Carter forcing the steal, and Christie runs right by Batiste, and then is pushed hard in the back. And Christie with words for Batiste.
And you see Rick Pitino there. Doug Christie exploded out ahead of all the Boston Celtics. Just exploded. Pitino immediately went down the bench to create substitutions. He realizes there's some tired players on the floor. He won't tolerate that.
At the line of Christie. One of only 3 Raptors remaining from training camp a year ago. And now has a little veteran company in Oakley, Willis, and D. Brown, who's a guy we shouldn't forget, and a guy who's checking into the game for the Raptors even as we speak, as Alvin Williams sits down. So Brown, who can play both guard spots, will handle the point right now. Bruce Bowen has come into the game for Boston along with Eric Riley as Christie buries them both.
D. Brown really gives punch off the bench. A real explosive offensive player. If he gets in rhythm, he can put the ball down from deep range.
Walker shoots it over Oakley and hits another one. 6 points for Antoine Walker, all tied at 10.
Now the Raptors have to solve that right away. Antoine Walker is off the mark very quickly. He's developing a rhythm in this game, and with rhythm, you can do explosive things on the offensive end of the court.
Oakley feeds it to Christie. Three-pointer off the back rim. Oakley runs it down, keeps it in bounds, but here's Walker. And a foul.
See Antoine Walker feeding his defense off his offense. He's totally involved.
8 points for Walker, and the Celtics up too early here at the Fleet Center in Boston. Last year, Antoine Walker, in just his second season in the league, 5th in the league in scoring. He may lead the league in scoring this year, but Rick Pitino wants more than just points.
Well, what we want is more the lineup of Oscar Robertson, which probably very few players can achieve. You know, he averaged a triple-double for a season. We'd like Antoine to score less, pass more, make better decisions in the assist turnover area, rebound the basketball more. So his line is significant in every category, and that's the type of ability he has.
It's pretty heady stuff mentioned in the Big O in the same line as Antoine Walker.
Well, it is. Of course, they play at different positions. Oscar Robertson, playing in the backcourt, had the basketball in his hand and was able to develop his offensive game off the dribble. Antoine Walker in the forward spot has to have people give him the ball. But as the league continues to recognize that he's a real deal and they give extra help on the defensive end, that's when his passing game will come into play.
He has 9 of Boston's 13 points as we see Vince Carter bring the ball up for the first time tonight, giving D. Brown a little bit of help.
You see Antoine Walker right out, challenging on defense, got his hands over his head. Very impressive for a young player to be out, hands over his head, challenging the basketball 24, 25 feet from the basket.
Paul Pierce forces the turnover. Kenny Anderson, Antoine Walker, he's got 11.
Kenny Anderson, that's what he's paid to do, create easy shots for teammates. He took his man to the basket and drew the help, then dished to Antoine Walker.
And here's Anderson nearly forcing another turnover, then limits the foul, or was he out of bounds? It'll be Raptor ball as Anderson dribbled it on the sideline, but the Celtics are going to play the kind of basketball that Kentucky did in college. A lot of pressing and trapping. They'll get burned for easy baskets sometimes, but they'll force as many turnovers as any team in the league.
And last year, as a result of that, Dan, as they pressed full court, they oftentimes gave up easy baskets at the back end. What they're going to do this year is, as they mature and understand how to cover off in the back, they need to extend that pressure primarily on the basketball and get the rotation in the back so they give up fewer baskets. The field goal percentage against them was far too high for them really to attain the goals that they've set out offensively.
Bruce Bowen commits the foul for the Celtics. It's the 5th team foul in the quarter, which sends Doug Christie to the line for a couple, and he's got 2 more. And 5 points, now 6 points on the night as the Raptors get back within 3. Celtics have made their last 5 field goals. Here's Walker getting Oakley in the air. Missed the shot badly. Willis looks ahead and finds Christie. Christie with 8. There's Pierce underneath. Now he's got a Christie on him as Carter has switched on to Bruce Bowen. Bowen thinks about it. 5 on the shot clock. Now hoists the 3 and hits the 3.
Bruce Bowen can make that contribution off the bench. He's been a very solid find for Rick Pitino.
Battling a slight fracture in his left wrist, which is his non-shooting wrist. Christie trying to answer. And a good box out by Eric Riley underneath, keeping Oakley off the glass. Anderson again, you can see him always searching and looking for teammates, but then when you start thinking pass first, he can take it to the hole.
See, the Celtics are spreading the court because they've been passing the ball from sideline to sideline. You open it up like that, and then Kenny Anderson has the ability to penetrate right down into the paint.
Largest lead of the night for Boston at 20-14. Willis spins baseline. Oakley battling for it. Boston ball.
That's good, Eric. That's good.
It's Charles Oakley's game. There's nothing pretty or fancy about it. He just gets in there and tries to get as many rebounds as he can. As Dana Barros checks in to give Kenny Anderson a rest. Barros, one of the outstanding shooters in the NBA, and has been for the last 8 or 9 years.
And one of the things that the Celtics will have going for them this year is some advantage when they do start to substitute. They have a great second line. Barros is a good example of that. When he comes in, he can light it up.
Bowen in the corner again where he hit a 3 last time. Walker going to work on Oakley. And Willis the rebound.
Walker's just getting in far too deep all alone. They're going to have to make a defensive change.
Willis inside. Had it knocked away. It'll still be Raptor ball.
Raptor ball. Number 35.
Last week, Kevin Willis chalked up 19 points in the first half against the Celtics, generally with smaller people on him.
Number 0, Walter McCarty.
There's another sub for the Celtics. Walter McCarty is in, and Reggie Slater makes his first appearance for the Raptors. Oakley off for Toronto. Christie, tough one, really nowhere to go. Got it back, nowhere to go again. Paul Pierce, outstanding defense. He has shown very early in the preseason and tonight he can play at both ends of the floor. Now he went over the back and committed a frustration foul.
And it's a hustle foul, too. He saw the ball go on the glass, and he'll beat you in so many ways. He plays position on the defensive boards. He will crash the offensive boards. An excellent defensive player at 6'7", and a player like Doug Christie, when he gets isolated on him, he's challenged by that extra reach.
He's known for his scoring more than anything else at Kansas, but how about the defense? Not once but twice on Doug Christie.
Of course, you know Rick Pitino will be pleased when they break the film down tomorrow. That's what he wants to see, especially from a first-year player, start to make that contribution defensively. As they move forward to achieve Pitino's goals, he realizes the defense has to catch up with the player's offense.
Greg Minor into the game. Paul Pierce sits down. Minor in his 5th year in the NBA out of Louisville. Christie making them count at the line. 5 for 5. Make it 6 for 6. Both teams extensively into their benches right now as we move into the latter stages of the first quarter. Celtics lead the Raptors by 4. The foul inside. It may be on Slater. It's on Christie instead. First on him, and the Celtics will shoot.
Doug Christie just turned his head a little bit, looked at the basketball. As soon as that happened, the player cut right to the basket. Christie reached out, grabbed Minor, and puts him on the line and bonus.
Has the play been as you expected? A lot of people thought the early part of the season would be very sloppy. Is this sloppier than normal?
Well, I think it is going to be a little bit sloppier, and one of the reasons is that coaches all throughout the league are going to go deeper into their bench a lot earlier in the season and in each of the games because of the conditioning factor with the shorter preseason. When you start to play different combinations of players are still trying to define their roles in some cases and certainly get the rhythm and learn how each other play and what the timing is. I think you see situations that lead to more turnovers than you may otherwise see.
And because of all that, each team allowed to keep 2 extra players for the first 2 weeks of the season. Each team carrying 14 players. Carter spinning on Bowen, gets to the basket, a little bit strong, but that's Vince Carter. He can explode to the hoop. Between Carter and McGrady, who we have yet to see in this game, the Raptors are going to have some highlight film dunks at times tonight. Whether they can exist in a half-court offense remains to be seen. Willis will be a big key in that. Kind of surprising not to have seen McGrady yet. D. Brown. Long 2-pointer for D. Brown.
D. Brown has such great jumping ability for somebody his size. It really helps his offensive production from the outside. He gets lift on his jump shot.
There's Barros. Going to work on Brown. Slater and D. Brown trying to figure out what went wrong there.
Dana Barros ran D. Brown all around the court. He made a loop from the far right corner all the way to the top of the key, turned right around and went back to the basket. A tough sequence to defense.
Now at the other end, Brown elevates on the baseline to Willis. Will generously call it a pass. Now Barros at the other end spins Christie around. McCarty with a left hand can't finish, and Slater clears. Starting to get a little ragged now. Tough pass from Brown. Willis tries to get the handle on it. And we'll step aside for a timeout with 1:47 left to play in the first. Raptors down 6 to Boston. Back in Boston, we've got two of the most highly touted rookies in the NBA in this game tonight. Vince Carter of Toronto, Paul Pierce of Boston. We asked each how he feels going into his debut.
Well, it's exciting. I get the opportunity to start, and I just want to go out there and do the job as if I was coming off the bench. I don't want to change any routine like I was doing in college. I mean, I really don't have a routine, but I just want to just go out there and play hard, and just let my game speak for itself.
I'm a little nervous right now. I just think about I keep having dreams last night, waking up in the middle of the night about what's going to happen, you know, how I'm going to play in front of my family in the first game in the NBA. But, you know, it's a good nervousness, and I'm sure that it'll be all gone once the game starts.
Two of the guys expected to be among the contenders for Rookie of the Year. Pierce has looked outstanding in the preseason for Boston. Carter's looked good for Toronto as well. Slater working hard inside. Nothing coming easily against the Celtics tonight. Barros puts it up at the other end. A rebound, a minor. Neither team able to finish. They've both missed a lot of fairly easy shots. Riley with a couple of shots at it. This is getting a little ragged.
And that's something you wouldn't have saw the team do last year. That's the Raptors. They had 4 purple jerseys inside, banging those backboards, trying to keep that rebound alive, and finally it worked their way.
And at the other end, got a couple of looks on the offensive glass, and finally Reggie Slater drew the foul. The Raptors were dominated at times on the glass last year on both ends, and even though Willis missed a short one, Slater does what he does best.
But you got to like when you get your 7-foot center, Kevin Willis, down on the break, leading the break, and following up on the offensive boards.
Slater very workmanlike. At times last year sat on the end of the bench for an entire game, and at times played 40 or 45 minutes a night. Just did whatever was asked of him. Antoine Walker, the high scorer in this game, comes back in for the Celtics. Mercer in as well. Minor and McCarty to the bench. Tracy McGrady has come into the game for the first time for the Raptors. He and Vince Carter not only teammates now, but cousins, and in effect vying for the same minutes, the same position. Right now Carter is the starter, McGrady coming off the bench. Both could play at the same time. Nice play by Kevin Willis. Big man gives it up, and we've got a foul.
You see that teamwork, Kevin Willis passing the basketball to Tracy McGrady. Willis knows, understands, hedges the defense there. Traps and runs. He sees McGrady behind him and just tucks the bounce pass with a little left-hander right there. McGrady just following the basketball as he got knocked out of bounds.
And McGrady to the line, trying to come off a strong finish to his rookie season and put that into a good sophomore year. But one thing that we all have to remember about Tracy McGrady, he's 19.
And would normally just be a sophomore at the college level. So you're looking at a basketball player here, and I was watching him during the warm-ups. He was draining shot after shot after shot. He's really got a nice rhythm on his shot. He's improved his release, gotten stronger in the upper body, and probably Butch Carter will bring him along slowly. He'll give him playing time off the bench, won't put too much pressure on him this year, and keep asking him to produce in practice and in preparation.
Oakley into the game for Willis as the Raptors go with as small a lineup as they've had tonight. Oakley in effect playing the center position right now into the final minute of the first quarter. It's a tough matchup for Slater as well. Walker, great quickness, missed the shot, and Slater stays home to collect the rebound. Right now 3 guys who can handle the ball for the Raptors in Brown, Williams, and McGrady, who's fouled on the jumper.
Celtics foul to number 5.
D. Brown giving McGrady a little bit of encouragement there. As he isolates coming down, I think you want to try to get the basketball in the hands of the backcourt players. McGrady in this combination has an opportunity to play more on the perimeter. You come down and isolate yourself right away. That sometimes contributes to other players beginning to stand around on offense, and that'll come back to haunt you as the game develops.
Foul on Mercer as McGrady's right back to the line. Added about 15 pounds to his frame in the offseason. He's about 6'8", 210 right now. Maybe still with a ways to go, but he is undeniably bigger and stronger than he was last year. And the Raptors getting it done at the line, 12 of 12. They have pulled back into a tie. The Celtics led by as many as 6. Steal by McGrady. 3-on-3. Tough look for Alvin Williams. An ill-advised decision there by Tracy McGrady.
Just rushed it a little bit. He saw Alvin Williams, but there wasn't a clear passing lane where he could release that basketball and not have it deflected. It caused Alvin Williams, as the ball get knocked, to knock it out of bounds.
Celtics will get Kenny Anderson back in there for perhaps the final possession of the quarter with the shot clock turned off.
A smart coaching move by Pitino as he brings Anderson back in. Considers this to be an important shot. Obviously wants to have his quarterback calling the plays.
They've made only one of their last 10, and the Raptors only one of their last 8. Barros in trouble. Walker baseline. It'll fall short as the quarter expires. A little bit sloppy, a little bit ragged, but not for a lack of effort on the part of either team. Antoine Walker with a big quarter. Doug Christie leading the way for the Raptors as they end the quarter on a 6-0 run to pull into a tie at 24 here in Boston. The second quarter is coming up. Dan Shulman, Brian Heaney, and David Amber back with you here in Boston. The Raptors and Celtics tied at 24 at the end of the first quarter. And you'd think 24-24, not really a low-scoring game, about average for the NBA. You'd think the shooting numbers would be pretty good, but truth be told, they're pretty bad, especially by the Raptors. Both teams, though, making up for their shortcomings from the field with perfect shooting from the line.
And also turnovers at 4 and 6, but rebounds 13 each. You see both teams trying to load the glass. The Raptors particularly doing a much better job certainly this season than we saw last year.
Turnovers will be a key. Boston forced a ton of turnovers in both the exhibition games and forced more than 20 a game last year. McGrady almost gave it up there. They'll contest every pass. D. Brown. And Walker does a good job to seal away Oakley and grab the rebound.
See, those are the little things Pitino is expecting out of Antoine Walker.
And now Walker left unattended underneath. Oakley got it back, though, and knocked the ball away.
Look at the veteran Charles Oakley comes down. He hustles back down, reestablishes defensive position. The next thing, he's diving on the floor.
In this set, Walker is actually not Oakley's man. With Oakley still playing in the middle, he's got a Batee. Reggie Slater is on Antoine Walker. Walker with 11, high scorer in this game. Here he is. No double team. He'll go to work. And he's got 13.
He's very tough. He can beat you facing up, or he can beat you with his back to the basket. It makes it impossible to defend him all alone. Every time he's isolated this evening, he's got a great shot.
Alvin Williams back in the game for Toronto. Bounces it into Slater, who spins on a Batee. And there's the follow by Tracy McGrady. And get used to that. 6'4" McGrady, his first field goal is a big one. Mercer spins around Alvin Williams and buries him.
That's a patented jump shot by Ron Mercer. When he squares up to the basket, even off one bounce, he's able to come back, square, get to the peak of the shot, and release it. An excellent jump shooter from the middle range. The
arrival of Ron Mercer really the reason the Celtics parted with D. Brown. He just didn't have any minutes anymore. Slater misses the jumper. Here's Anderson. Minor left alone, misses the 18-footer, and McGrady a strong rebound. And he waves everybody off, says, I'll bring it up.
Well, that's renewed confidence for Tracy McGrady. He's getting an opportunity to play for Butch Carter. He likes his style as a coach. He's been responding to Carter.
Inside on a much bigger man in Batee, he draws the contact. McGrady playing very aggressively. Looks like he'll spend a little more time at the line than he did last year.
That's his second personal foul. First team foul.
You see McGrady here. He tries to stand Batee up and then goes right up and through him. Doesn't fade away. Tries to get his elbow tucked right on his chin and goes right through him, drawing the contact.
Took it in stride when Butch Carter told him he'd be coming off the bench and that Vince Carter would be starting. There figured to be plenty of minutes for both of them as the season moves along. Eric Riley back in for Boston. Tony Batee goes out. Riley with his 5th team in his 5-year NBA career.
But the Celtics, of course, need some help in that position, Dan. They need the wide body. They need the extra size down inside. Center position is something that, as this season wears on, is going to cause them a problem. Eric Riley will have to produce when he's put in the ballgame to assist in that area.
First free throw miss for the Raptors, now 13 of 14. Walker again, Slater on him. McGrady goes to help and got it. Walker gets it back and draws the foul. Great play by First McGrady, and then a great recovery by Walker.
Walker's got a great heart, Three guys surrounded him right there. He stuck right with it, went back, and took it home.
The Raptors need to find a way to stop Antoine Walker. Close game with Boston leading the Raptors by 1 early second quarter. In an effort to win back the fans after the lockout, every NBA team has come up with some kind of a promotion. Some, like the Atlanta Hawks, with family nights, giving away tickets, drinks, and food at a very reasonable price. Some, like the Washington Wizards, donating money and tickets into the community. Charlotte, well, 6% is not bad these days, the way things are going. The Golden State Warriors also trying to get involved and win back some fans. A lot of teams have been pretty creative about it. The Raptors have gotten involved with all gray seats at the home opener with the Gardens free, and the Boston Celtics, like every team, had free admission to preseason game. Let's go cross court. Here's David Amber.
All right, thanks, Dan. You're right. This season is all about winning the fans back. The NBA has taken steps to do that. Tonight, this CD, I still love this game. They're giving it out to every fan at every season opener, every home opener this year. That's over 500,000 CDs. And luckily, Brian, Dan, it has all your favorites: Mariah Carey, Will Smith, Tatiana Ali. So it should be good listening. First step to the reclamation of the league this year.
All right, David, thank you. And you just get the sense that although the league is going to suffer because of the lockout and because of the retirement of Michael Jordan, that it may not be a crippling blow. It seems like people are coming back.
Well, you make a point. I was looking at some of the promotions and realizing the sense you get when you're in the arena is the fans are very receptive to these promotions. They're not antagonistic to it. They're pleased to be welcomed back. They're going to come and take advantage of them. But the fact is, they appear to be very glad that this season is underway. And I think, you know, basketball, unlike some of the other sports, really has such a core following that people follow these players. They want to be back into the NBA, into rhythm. And I think there'll be far less recrimination than they otherwise have been thought.
Alvin Williams floats to the hoop, missed it. Slater underneath, and a fresh 24 for the Raptors. Baseline, D. Brown. Fancy, but couldn't finish.
Well, very nice. D. Brown just got hung up a little bit too far underneath the rim. He didn't have enough reach to get it up on the glass.
Anderson looking for an opening, finds Walker, who passes it out of the post. Anderson misses the jumper. Another rebound for Oakley. Did a good job keeping Eric Riley on his back. Raptors not shooting the ball well at all, but because they're not turning it over and because they're hitting their free throws, they are in this game right now, and now they are leading this game as D. Brown hits from the baseline.
D. Brown, you know, he's a real pro. He works off the play set, accepts the screen, pops to the corner, shooting the basketball with confidence. He wants to assume some leadership on this ball club, and if it has to be off the bench for the time being, he's willing to do that.
Rick Pitino said 2 lopsided wins in the preseason mean nothing as Walker finishes again. Each coach felt the other was keeping some secrets back in those preseason games, wanting to have a couple of tricks ready for the regular season.
Well, certainly the Celtics didn't give as much of their vaunted full court press and their trapping defense in the first game, a little bit more in the second game, but you know, Rick Pitino realizes if he starts to go full tilt with that pressure defense, full court traps with a team in a shortened season, he's going to wear these players out. So he'll try to measure and pick his spots this year.
Kenny Anderson splits the defense and hits the jumper to put the Celtics up by 3.
And you know, the Raptors, Dan, are giving up far too much real estate. Whether it be Antoine Walker or Kenny Anderson, they've got to put the gloves on and get the basketball under control much earlier in the set defense.
D. Brown into the paint, draws the foul. D. Brown's going to be a very important player for the Raptors by the time it's all said and done at both guard positions. Butch Carter, like Rick Pitino, looking for all the depth he can with 50 games in 90 days, including 2 stretches for the Raptors where they play 3 games in 3 nights. All the NBA teams going through that. The ovation you hear is for the arrival of Dwayne Shinsius at 7'2", 285. A guy who has been around the block and back and around the block again. He was supposed to be a superstar coming out of college, but injuries and I don't know if apathy would be the right word. He just never seemed to dedicate himself, and now looking for what may be his final chance.
And he's going to get an opportunity here simply because the Celtics don't have that talent in that post position. You see that mask, he had that nasal surgery, came back, and he's going to be able to play with that. He had surgery on Monday. It was very successful, and hopefully there'll be no return of the injury.
Paul Pierce back into the game, misses the baseline jumper. Butch Carter has countered with Kevin Willis, bringing him back into the game. What a bounce pass from Alvin Williams, 40 feet to Kevin Willis.
Nice. You like to see that from the guy who you're about to entrust your season to. Alvin Williams at the point picks up Kevin Willis long distance, makes a great bounce pass right on the money.
And a steal. D. Brown takes it away from Kenny Anderson. Underneath Doug Christie, good hustle, blocked by Pierce, blocked by Shinsius.
Paul Pierce having a good night defensively. He's ever present. He's got that reach. He's making himself known.
He was a guy projected to be taken 4th, 5th, or right around when the Raptors were picking. He fell to 10th, and it may be the steal of the draft.
Rick Pitino very pleased with that. Saw him play in a summer league and came away and said, geez, he was really hot tonight. The coaches down in the LA League said he wasn't hot. That's the way he shoots all the time.
Alvin Williams takes it away. Doug Christie finishes, and a foul on Shinsius as well. Another good look from Alvin Williams.
A great play by Doug Christie. That's the kind of play that excites and lifts a team, especially when they're on the road. Take it right to the goal.
The Raptors lead by 2. A big 2 as Doug Christie jams it home. He'll be at the line when we come back to Boston. Brian, despite a huge start for Antoine Walker, the Raptors are leading right now, winning the turnover battle, winning the rebounding battle, doing a great job from the line, and somewhat improbably, they are leading here on the road.
Well, those are the 3 key statistics in a basketball game. If you can control the glass, not turn the basketball over, and get to the foul line, you are going to be in the ball game and should have the lead.
Raptors are up by 2. The Celtics have led by as many as 6. Raptors doing a pretty good job on the offensive glass. And here's Alvin Williams with the steal, and watch Christie.
Right here, Christie comes right down the middle. Shinsius doesn't get back in time, and Christie takes it to him and dunks it home. An easy 2 points for Doug Christie. You leave him in the open court, he'll get to the goal, and he's got great legs.
Christie looks pretty fired up, too. When he gets emotional, he's a much better player. At times, he seems to be a little detached emotionally, but he's been fired up from the outset tonight. And maybe it was that push in the back under the basket right at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, you sometimes don't know what the hot button is for a player, and Butch Carter certainly expects a great deal from Doug Christie on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. And Christie's capable of delivering that, but he wants it to come as he integrates his skills with the rest of the unit, whether that's an offensive or defensive unit, not play alone outside, almost like a moon around Jupiter. He wants him down on the planet with the rest of the players, working off the picks, off the screens, and creating opportunities for others.
Another steal by Alvin Williams, another finish, this time by Kevin Willis, and another foul on Dwayne Shinsius.
You see Kevin Willis giving Alvin Williams a compliment, saying, hey, that's the way to do it. You see Alvin Williams here. He's got those long arms. At 6'5", he'll get out in the passing lane and deflects it, sends Willis down, gives him the basketball. Willis absorbs the hit with that great upper body strength and immediately goes to Alvin Williams and says, great defensive play. You get that kind of seasoned veteran giving that kind of encouragement to a player like Alvin Williams in his second year, and you're going to have the kind of rapport that makes the coaching staff smile. You've got to blend the old guys with the new guys. That kind of effort does it all the time.
One thing nobody knows is how long Willis and Oakley will be Raptors. Are they here just for part of the season to be traded away to a contender, or will they be here for a couple of years with the Raptors to help groom, as you said, guys like McGrady and Carter?
And of course, if they move, that won't be because the Raptors are disappointed in them.
Paul Pierce snaps a 9-0 Raptor run and brings the Celtics back within 4 midway through the second quarter.
To finish that thought, you know, other teams certainly would place a high premium on those kinds of players as they make a playoff run. They would be in high demand, and they'd have to look and see what they could get in return.
Pretty nice move under the hoop by Vince Carter. Raptors by 6.
You see the substitution patterns managed from the Raptor bench now. The players who started this ball game are back together as a unit.
Into the paint goes Pierce. He's in trouble. Kenny Anderson tries to bail him out, misses a 3, and another rebound for Oakley. Raptors doing well on the glass. Christie. In and out. Loose ball to Anderson. Anderson stumbling into the paint. Follow no good. And Willis a great outlet. Christie at the other end goes right by Walker. It's the second time tonight we've seen Kevin Willis have great vision and throw a long pass. Well, the Celtics may have won some fans back with Red Auerbach's speech before the game, but they're already grumbling right now as they are down 8 to Toronto. A surprising turn of events here in the second quarter. Raptors on a roll. Raptors leading by 8 after being down as many as 6 in the first quarter. Alvin Williams is going to be such a key player for the Raptors this year, getting a chance to start at the point in only his second year in the NBA. And we've seen this quarter he's done a good job at both ends of the floor.
And that's what Butch Carter expects of him. You know, when you get a coach like Butch Carter who looks at Alvin Williams, who came over from Portland last year, he's got to play a little bit, but certainly didn't establish himself. And then throughout what he saw at that time period, and then in the early season, he feels that he can emerge to be a very consistent player in the backcourt, and has turned the opportunity for him to start at the point over to him. And Alvin Williams tonight taking advantage of that.
Butch Carter 5-28 as head coach of the Raptors last year, and 4 of the 5 came in overtime. So Carter may have aged a few years in just a few months last year with the Raptors. Marlon Garnett makes his first appearance of the night for Boston. Inside, Eric Riley. Boy, when you're 7 feet, you can do some things around the basket.
Well, he spun to the baseline and showed it with his right hand, and then came back underneath with his left hand. Nice move for the post player.
Out of Michigan, was a backup on the Fab 5 team the Wolverines had in the early 90s. Oakley playing a lot of minutes for Toronto tonight. Here's Carter and Pierce, the 2 rookies going head-to-head. That's a tough shot. Walker, he can run the floor as well. Garnett passed up the jumper. Now Riley inside again. And it's knocked away. I think Oakley caused it. 9th turnover committed by Boston. Raptors take advantage. They've done a much better job finishing here in the second quarter.
You got to give Kevin Willis a lot of respect. He came into this shortened preseason in tremendous shape, and with his size, playing in that post position, he's getting up and down the court and not giving quarter to anybody.
13 points for Kevin Willis. Kenny Anderson way off on the jumper. No second shots recently for the Celtics. Raptors have played more than 8 minutes this quarter without turning the ball over once against the team that forced more turnovers than any other in the league last year. Carter way long on the 3-pointer. And another turnover by Boston, their 10th. Willis feeling it. Well, maybe not anymore. But the follow by Alvin Williams.
Very opportunistic by Alvin Williams, and again, he has the size and the presence and the court sense to be on the glass in that kind of situation. You get your center pulled away from the basket down on the midpoint about 16 feet, and you got to crash the boards from that guard slot.
Look at the turnover story. Raptors doing a great job handling the ball. They lead by 10. Garnett from the corner, 3-pointer. That's his job. He's a shooter, signed as a free agent. He played in Turkey last year. Rick Pitino went to look at Paul Pierce, who just committed a foul, and saw another guy, said, "Who's that guy?" Well, his name was Marlon Garnett. Just saw him in a pickup game, liked him so much he signed him.
Played in Santa Clara, where he set the school record for 3-point shots. So when he's on the court, the Raptors have to be aware of that, and they have to close him out defensively very quickly.
And a teammate of one Steve Nash of Victoria at Santa Clara for a couple of years. Foul committed by Pierce sends Vince Carter to the line at the other end for Toronto, as Reggie Slater comes back in. The bench for the Raptors, because of the shortened season, figures to be more of a factor, and also because it's a little bit better this year when you can bring McGrady, Slater, D. Brown off the bench. And what of John Wallace, who has not played yet? Another guy who was second on the team in scoring last year and appears to have worked himself into the doghouse here in the early going.
Well, John Wallace is an excellent offensive player, and as he gets an opportunity to be in this rotation on a more frequent basis, he certainly can put points on the scoreboard, and the Raptors will look to him to do that.
14 points per game last year, one of the highest totals for a bench player in the NBA. Dana Barros back in. Anderson out for the Celtics. Garnett will try it again, and this time Carter got a hand on it. Carter at the other end. wave off the basket. Foul on the floor before the shot.
Good hustle by Vince Carter, though. You see the rookie challenges the jump shot in the corner on the baseline, deflects it, and then hustles down and gets on the front end of a pass in transition. That kind of athleticism makes a big contribution. Here's Carter. He stands the defensive player up and goes baseline, gets fouled before the release of the shot.
That is more Vince Carter's game than standing at 23 feet and launching three-pointers, although his shooting has improved. In transition, going to the basket is where he's really going to shine. D. Brown back in for Doug Christie.
Replaces Doug Christie.
Brown returning home to where he spent 8 years as a member of the Celtics, as Carter hits them both. 8 points on the night for Vince Carter. And the Raptors with an 11-point lead.
Raptors foul to number 20, Alvin Williams. That's his second personal foul.
Alvin Williams is charged with the foul. It'll be his second. Wow, there's the story right there.
When you get that many points off turnovers, you're going to be in good position offensively. The Raptors not used to enjoying that kind of situation, but when you recognize what excellent defense does, that little bit of extra hustle, you start to turn the ball over, offense comes easier, and you'll go back to the well more often. Good things lie ahead for the Raptors if they hold together.
Big night early for Antoine Walker. Now 17 points, high scorer in the game. Give Alvin Williams a lot of credit, too, for not turning the ball over this way. Here come the Celtics with that pressure, but Williams has generally done a good job getting through it. Tough pass inside for Willis. Goes around Walker, jump hook. Tipped back up and in by McGrady.
Very nice. Kevin Willis made a great move down into the paint, hooked the basketball up. McGrady hung around and got the putback.
Pretty good night for the Cousins. McGrady's got 9. Carter's got 8. Rebound Willis. Again, the look ahead. Nice pass, Alvin Williams.
Boy, tremendous. Kevin Willis enjoying the fact that he's dominating the defensive glass, turning. He's putting the ball on the money in transition, leading to easy baskets.
And Alvin Williams looks very confident right now. Nice catch and a finish for him at the other end. Largest lead of the night for Toronto. Minute and a half left in the first half. Walker is fouled inside.
You can't let Walker make a move away from the middle and then come back to it unmolested. He's just too tough when he catches the basketball. He puts you in a position where then you got to lean on him and commit the foul. You've got to anticipate where his cut will be and get into that space. Send him behind you or he's going to eat you up.
One of the guys who signed a long-term deal, which is kind of proof that the new deal that the owners and players struck is working. It's working more for the owners than the players. And it's working for the fans. Antoine Walker, Allen Iverson, Sharif Abdur-Rahim, a lot of players who were heading toward free agency signed long-term deals with their current clubs, which is how they could maximize their money by staying with their current team. But it's great for the fans to be able to keep players like these around on one team from year to year.
Well, that kind of opportunity to identify with players is something that perhaps has been missing with the NBA. You start to anticipate seeing somebody who you can follow year over year, like Antoine Walker. You certainly have to be pleased with that.
The referees have decided, or by looking at the scoreboard, that that was not a shooting foul, just the 4th foul of the quarter committed by the Raptors. So instead, Boston will take it out on the side. Walter McCarty back in for the Celtics. Garnett double team. Barros puts it on the floor. McCarty inside, gets it back, and another takeaway.
Raptors doing a good job challenging the basketball after the rebound, not just giving up the rebound. If they don't get it, they're trying to dig it out, and they're having some success.
They're also doing a lot of communicating on the floor. Willis very vocal, D. Brown very vocal. A lot of talking out there as Alvin Williams forces one. Minor, can he keep it in bounds? Doesn't matter, still Boston ball. Tied at 24 at the end of the first quarter. Butch Carter's Raptors have moved out to a 13-point lead. Final minute of the first half. A surprising start to this game. Minor open, will take the 3. That's a big shot for the Celtics. They need a little momentum heading into the break.
And that sets them up to give a little added pressure here defensively and extend the defense full court.
McGrady dribbles it out of bounds. First turnover in a long time committed by the Raptors. They had 4 midway through the first quarter. That's the first one since then.
Number 15, Vince Carter.
See, there's a little bit of growing pains as well. You have Alvin Williams, who's done a great job, and D. Brown in the ballgame, and they leave McGrady alone against that extended full court pressure.
Celtics give it right back. Raptors can hold it if they want. Instead, Slater, no basket, offensive foul.
Very nice moves all the way to the end. Reggie Slater did what his instinct told him to do, take it aggressively to the glass. You see Alvin Williams, a nice little pass. Slater went hard, and that's what you expect of him. But the defensive player had position set and waiting for him.
Just 19 seconds left in the half. Slater thought it should have been a defensive call, score the bucket and go to the line as well, but the officials felt otherwise. He picks up his second, and the Celtics will get the ball back. It was 13 points, the lead for the Raptors a few seconds ago. Now it's 10, and Boston gets the last shot, so they can creep a little bit closer heading to the break. Now, because of the shortened season, you know that all the teams in the NBA are going to have absolutely crazy schedules. The Raptors have it as tough as anybody. They begin with 4 of their first 5 on the road, which is going to be difficult. And look at this stretch coming up beginning in a couple of weeks of 8 games in 12 days. All the teams are going to go through that. And again, depth and stamina are going to be tested. For Boston, they've got a 6-game road trip beginning Monday that takes them to the West Coast for the only time this season. So all the coaches are going to find out a lot about their teams early on.
And Rick Pitino was asked about that. 15 of their first 22 games are on the road and how that affects a ball club. And he said, well, in this kind of shortened season, you got to expect that. He's not happy about it. But on the other hand, he has 8 solid players returning that he's built around last year. So he gets a little bit of an edge there. And at the end of the season, 15 of the last 22 are home, and he'd rather have that kind of momentum from the Celtics organization's point of view.
And travel's been made a little bit easier in that each team plays a very small number of games against teams from the other conference. So a Western Conference team only comes east once, and an Eastern Conference team only has 1 road trip to the West.
Aside from the extended travel, there's another advantage to that, in that with Michael Jordan's departure, as the NBA looks for ways to regain identity and what will be the focal point of their promotions, the fact is there'll be some rivalries that will develop as a result of that, and the fans are going to have some fun seeing some of the teams a little closer by in conference a little more often.
Gone are the days of the promos being Shaq against Michael. It's time to get it back to the 80s, where it was Lakers Celtics or Sixers Celtics. Emphasize the teams more than the individuals. Celtics can hold it for the last shot of the half. Got some support from the 6th man, as Red Auerbach referred to the crowd before the game. Dana Barris holding. He'll launch a 3-pointer and hit it. 1.7 seconds. Can the Raptors answer? Willis will have to launch from 65 feet. And Boston with 2 3-pointers in the last 30 seconds of the first half to get back within 7 in what otherwise was a very impressive second quarter for the Toronto Raptors. Kevin Willis big, Doug Christie big, Antoine Walker a huge start for the Celtics, but Toronto leads Boston by 7 as we send you back to the studio. Welcome back to Boston. Dan Schulman, Brian Heaney, David Amber with you. James Duffy and Paul Jones back in the studio as the Raptors take a 7-point lead to the second half in the first game of our opening night doubleheader. Houston taking on the Lakers in game 2 of the doubleheader tonight, and what should be an outstanding game between 2 of the real contenders in the Western Conference. Neither one of these teams expected to do a whole lot in the Eastern Conference, at least not the Raptors, but they have played very well tonight. Doug Christie's got a 15, including 7 of 7 from the line. Kevin Willis already has a double-double with 11 points and 10 rebounds. And there are the 2 young guys, Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter, both having pretty good first halves. For Boston, Antoine Walker, 17 points, 11 in the first quarter. After that, Toronto did a pretty good job. Ron Mercer maybe bothered by that knee more than he'd like to let on. Has been quiet. Paul Pierce, who looked early like he was going to have a big first half, pretty quiet offensively. So other than Walker, the Raptors have contained Boston's scores.
I think offensively, they've got to watch Pierce and Mercer in the second half, and the 6th man which Red Auerbach implored the crowd to be in this ballgame in the second half. You're going to hear the crowd begin to get involved in this ballgame.
And they are noisy right out of the gate here to start the second half. Christie fouled by Mercer. It'll drop as well. Doug Christie, one of the best guards in the NBA at posting up, and he's trying to make life difficult on Ron Mercer.
And Christie deserves a lot of credit on this move. He drew contact, but he stuck with the follow-through. When you get fouled, you just stick with the follow-through, hold your concentration. You get the ball up on the rim, it drops for the good shooters.
Third foul on Mercer. Paul Pierce also has 3, and Doug Christie is now the high scorer in the game with 18. The Raptors take the crowd out of the game immediately with that 3-point play. Paul Pierce. Carter got back, and he and Oakley combined to knock the ball away. Numbers for the Raptors at the other end. Alvin Williams with a little head fake. Wide open, Kevin Willis.
But Kevin Willis never stopped running in that transition. He was behind Alvin Williams at the start of it, and he got out in front of him before Williams was in a position to make that pass.
This looks like a different Alvin Williams than certainly played the first preseason game for the Raptors. He got better in the second game, but he's playing his best right now, making good decisions.
And rebounding the basketball, running up and down the court. Here you see Paul Pierce. The steal comes. There's Alvin Williams. You're going to see Kevin Willis at the bottom of the screen run right out ahead. Williams draws his man, tucks it right over to him, and Kevin Willis sends it home very smoothly from 12 feet.
Alvin Williams in the game with 5 assists and only 1 turnover. In the 2 preseason games, he had 8 assists, but 8 turnovers, doing a much better job. Quick timeout by Rick Pitino. Didn't like at all the way the Celtics started the second half. Tony Battie. Haven't seen that from him tonight. Battie in his second year, drafted by Denver, had a rough rookie season with the Nuggets, traded to the Lakers but never played for them. Picked up in a deal by the Celtics for Travis Knight. Those are for his first 2 points. Double team. Oakley left open. He's still looking for his first points of the night. How about Kevin Willis, although he can't finish?
Now, you can't leave Kevin Willis all alone inside. He's done a yeoman's task of rebounding in the first half. The Raptors began to back up in that offensive series. You got to get teammates helping on the glass, get in for the second and the third shot.
Now the turnover committed by the Celtics. Paul Pierce says, my fault on the pass. Not as many new faces on the Boston side of the floor as there are on the Toronto, but still adjustments to be made with a very short camp. Carter on Pierce. Oakley passed it up, and then just too close to Willis to throw that hard of a pass.
All of that was a good idea. Vince Carter drew the defense. He passed it out to Charles Oakley, which was an excellent pass. Oakley just moved it a little bit too briskly over to Willis, but they had the right idea. Hit the open man. Easy shots develop.
Anderson gets a screen from Walker. In the corner, Pierce. 3-pointer for Paul Pierce.
He's capable of making that shot.
Scored better than 20 points a game last year as a junior in Kansas. He was an All-American, and like Vince Carter with North Carolina, came out a year early. Christie looking inside for Willis. Baseline, Carter spins, elevates, and hits.
That was an excellent move by Vince Carter, spinning into the paint. He's got great lift. If he gets his back turned to you and jumps, you're not going to get up there to contest that shot.
He and Pierce with different kinds of games. Pierce is a little more old school. Carter relies a little bit more on his athleticism. Mercer had it knocked free by Christie, and a foul is called.
Raptors foul number 13, Doug Christie. That's his second
on Christie. Nobody on the Raptors side of things in trouble at all. As we mentioned, Mercer and Pierce each have 3 for Boston. A 9-point Toronto lead early second half. Williams goes for the steal, doesn't get it. Anderson has to throw up a line drive, and it bounces free to Carter.
Charles Oakley and Kevin Willis both involved in that whole defensive backboard series to a certain extent. You see that veteran leadership, all hustling, trying to help out.
Vince Carter. And the foul underneath as Carter blew by Paul Pierce to the basket that time.
That's his second personal
Antoine
foul.
Walker commits the
second team foul.
Here you see Vince Carter going to the glass. Kevin Willis keeping the basketball alive, following up wherever the ball goes. You see a player like Kevin Willis not stand still and watch it. He's going to the glass, following the ball, offensively or defensively, in on the rebound, or keeping the ball alive at every occasion.
Tried to do it again, but Tony Battie came out with it. 1 of 2 at the line for Carter. Pierce tries to answer. Double team on Walker. Open man, Pierce. He's got 1-3. He's got another 3 from the same spot this quarter, but they forgot about Kevin Willis at the other end.
Oakley to Willis. They've been around the block a few times.
15 points to go with 11 rebounds for Kevin Willis. Raptors by 9. Mercer. Battie up for the rebound. Has it, and a foul on Oakley.
There's Charles Oakley. Now, he got out of position, but he went very aggressively. You can see where he built his reputation when he played with the New York Knicks as the enforcer. He's not going to give a quarter. If he's out of position, he's still going to come back at you hard physically. So you're looking to find out where he is. Here you see Oakley here. The ball was up on the backboard. Oakley holding off right here, and he moves very hard on Battie and takes a look at him after he hit him.
Battie at the line. Both Oakley and Willis not only have played many years in the NBA, but they've played on very good teams. Kevin Willis played on a good Atlanta team and spent the last couple of years with Houston. Charles Oakley played 3 years with the Bulls and then 10 with the Knicks. And Charles Oakley has never missed the playoffs in a 13-year NBA career. So these guys bring some winning attitudes and experience with them. Whether that could rub off on the young Raptors, the other players, remains to be seen.
Well, you know, it gives young players confidence because they don't have to be perfect every time they try to make an execution. With the veteran smarts, things get made up for during the course of the game.
Another offensive rebound for Kevin Willis, and this time it's Battie committing the foul on him.
One thing the Raptors have to guard against is starting to stand around and take photographs of these guys toiling and doing what they do well. They've got to get in, contribute on the boards. They've got to contribute on the defense, be part of what Oakley and Willis bring to this club, not stand and watch it develop.
Somebody having a little fun, I think, at the players' expense, tossing some money onto the floor. And Kevin Willis and Vince Carter and the others gathering it up and handing it right back.
Wasn't that what that prolonged discussion and protracted layoff was all about? Something called money? Kevin Willis made it look easy. He collected it and gave it back. We could have avoided all of that.
With a smile on his face. What a night for Kevin Willis. He's played a lot of power forward in his career as well. With Houston, he would play power forward and also back up Akeem Olajuwon at center. He can play both positions, but there's no doubt on Toronto, he's the center.
You know, that oftentimes helps a player as well, Dan, when you have an opportunity to be so versatile that you make contributions in several different positions, but all of a sudden you focus down and you have one position to concentrate on. Oftentimes your level of performance goes up.
He'll be quicker than some centers, and against a team like Boston, he'll be bigger than most of the guys that Boston can throw out there. Antoine Walker claims he didn't hear the whistle. He was going up to dunk it, but Vince Carter's called for a foul.
That was a touch foul of Vince Carter. He's turning around. He's got both hands laid out. He's going, what? What did I do?
Well, Barros turned an ankle. He is still down on the floor as Willis jams it home again at the other end. Barros really favoring that left ankle.
The Raptors have been very impressive digging the basketball out tonight. Getting down to the level of the ball, digging, reaching, keeping it alive, turning it into steals.
Last thing you want to see in this kind of a season, an injury. The Celtics are dealing with one and dealing with the Raptors as well. Raptors by 12. These two young ladies are the culprits, the ones trying to help out the NBA players who took a bit of a financial hit, they feel, in the lockout. They threw some money on the floor, and Kevin Wilson says, oh, I think I can get by without it. They might try it again. I guess it's good for both the fans and the players to try to have a sense of humor about what happened over the 200-plus day lockout. Meanwhile, down at the other end, Dana Barros, the backup point guard for the Celtics, just turned an ankle.
And he didn't even step on anyone's foot, just turned it, just jammed his foot, got it caught, rolled over on it hard. The Raptors down the other way. Another unmolested layup in transition.
Barros will have to come out of the game. See, he caught his right toes, and then he caught his left toes. He really had trouble with both feet there. It's the left ankle that turned. The Celtics are dealing with a number of injuries, including Ron Mercer's knee, Bruce Bowen's wrist, although he's in the game. Popeye Jones, the ex-Raptor, is on to Boston. He's got a bad quad, and he hasn't played tonight. So they got a lot of aches and pains. Look at the leaping ability by Vince Carter.
Yeah, that's exactly what you can expect of Vince Carter. He made that play just on his ability to jump.
Doug Christie trap. He'll call a timeout. Vince Carter came into North Carolina. A technical foul. As we interrupt that thought, Doug Christie just was called for a technical foul for tossing the ball in the direction of official Joey Crawford. That could turn into a very big play from the Celtic point of view.
That's not the kind of thing here. Here you see the trap right here.
He got pushed and threw it at the Celtic player and then got called for the technical.
And anytime you react in a situation like that, the referee always catches the second action.
Yeah.
You get pulled and you react, that's where you're going to get the viz.
And now we're told that Kenny Anderson also has been called for a technical foul, so that'll even things up. We talked about Doug Christie sometimes seeming to play without a lot of emotion. He's been very emotional the entire night, but you got to draw the line somewhere. He and Anderson settling things.
Right here.
The first throw, and then Anderson throws it right back. So not a good play really on the part of either player, but it ends up not hurting anybody. Now Christie going to work on a Bowen, gets inside and misses a short one.
Always a good idea, even under pressure, to use the backboard down low when you make that spin move. It's a very delicate shot. You make a power move with your upper body, and then you got to have a feather touch. Use the glass. It comes home to be positive.
Walker trying to move on Oakley again. Loose ball. Celtics get it back. McCarty. Maybe better off using the glass there. And now McCarty may be hobbling a little bit as he goes back down toward the defensive end.
And he's been nursing what's called a turf toe. He really bruised his toe very, very badly, hyperextended it. You have to wonder if that's the same injury on that move.
Oakley leaves it short. Still looking for his first points of the night. And Eric Riley's going to come back into the game, and Walter McCarty will sit down. And this has to be a great concern to Rick Pitino with McCarty and Barros and Popeye Jones and Ron Mercer and Bruce Bowen all nursing injuries. Good thing they can carry 14 players for the first couple of weeks.
Well, of course, and one of the things that Pitino was expecting was that they have a little bit of depth, and there's some parity between their starting unit and their second unit. But when people start to go down in injuries, you lose that advantage. And in the shortened season with a lot of substitutions, that's something that Pitino's going to have to deal with. It works now against him instead of for him.
Rick Pitino said yesterday that in their last 5 scrimmages, the second unit defeated the starters, and he didn't know whether to be happy about that or worried. Does that mean his bench is better or his starters are worse than he thought?
Well, I think when you get young players that are playing that close together, you always get a little bit of extra added incentive, and especially in the preseason when you're playing together as a second unit. You focus in a little bit better. You bear down a little bit harder because you're still in a position where you want to prove yourself and possibly get the coach to start to think about making some changes early on in the year as to who's going to play together as the first unit.
D. Brown returns for Alvin Williams. Raptors with the ball and an 11-point lead. Reggie Slater into the game as well. Gets 2 Celtics in the air, trying to split the middle. Toronto gets the benefit of the call, perhaps, as they still maintain possession.
Reggie Slater trying to elevate the defensive players. Both held their position. Then he tried to split them, created a little bit of contact, but not enough to draw a whistle.
Christie blocked. Not a good decision by Doug Christie. Here comes Kenny Anderson. Offensive foul on Bruce Bowen. And there is Vince Carter taking the charge. He came into North Carolina with a reputation of being a poor defender. Got better and better, and now has to be considered an above-average defender as he begins his NBA career.
And you can teach a good offensive player defense if they have the heart and the willingness to learn. And Vince Carter clearly demonstrating that he's willing to develop that aspect of his ball game.
Kevin Willis, here comes the double team. Open man is D. Brown. Carter Willis keeps it alive.
Kevin Willis again continuing momentum through the paint, working hard to help his teammates out, put himself in position to get that rebound.
Kevin Willis has 21 points and 14 rebounds. Paul Pierce. Oh my!
Classic move up and over the defense, using the backboard to create the angle. You put the ball high on the glass, you're going to be able to beat any extended shot block opportunity. Paul Pierce executes perfectly.
Doug Christie at the other end answers with a three-pointer. Every time the Celtics creep a little bit closer, the Raptors find a way to score. Christie's having a big night. Willis is having a huge night, and the Raptors lead big on the road. John Wells has taken Sports Desk Extra to Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, 6 in the morning Pacific Time. So be sure to join John each and every Sunday morning here on TSN. Well, it was a little bit ragged in the first half, but we've seen some pretty fancy plays here in the third quarter, and Paul Pierce might have the play of the night.
Well, this is a classic right here. He goes high on the backboard. He wants to avoid going into the middle and getting the shot blocked, puts it up high on the glass, hits the top of the box, and drops right through the net.
You expect some growing pains from the rookies, but I think that both Vince Carter and Paul Pierce have given their teams and their fans reason to be excited.
And neither one working against the grain of their offenses. They're taking scoring opportunities that come to them within the offense and that play to their skill sets. Carter making the more sensational athletic moves, a couple of spin moves in the middle, jumping over the defense. Pierce standing on the outside and getting in a groove with his outside jumper.
Vince Carter is a guy who played the off-guard position at North Carolina, drawing comparisons to one of Michael Jordan because of his athleticism. And while that is very premature and really unfair to any young player, he does possess amazing athleticism, which we've seen at both ends of the court. And Paul Pierce has acquitted himself very well also in both the exhibition games and again tonight. Kenny Anderson blocked by McGrady. Kept alive by the Celtics. Pierce.
Paul Pierce has really stood out in the second half. It's the third jump shot he's made.
I think just like we heard all year long in the NFL about all the teams who passed on Randy Moss, I think we're going to hear for a long time about all the teams who passed on Paul Pierce as he went 10. The officials have called this one incorrectly. That pass by Doug Christie was knocked out of bounds, but it'll go over to the Celtics. It's a 12-point game. Walker had all day to think about the three.
Here's a point in the season, too, where you have to rely on your set offense to get you back in the ball game. It's important that your screens be set, that they're set crisply, that you free up the offensive players, and that there's some element of timing. And again, in the shortened preseason, the Celtics, if they go to the set offense to come back in this ball game, they may not have the timing that they're going to have later on in the season.
Illegal defense, the call on the Raptors. First time's a warning. After that, a technical. 10 on the shot clock. 4 minutes left in the third. Pierce inside. Eric Riley to put back.
And that's what Rick Pitino expects out of Eric Riley when he's in the game earning minutes. Crash the boards. If it's offensive boards, gain the putback.
D. Brown, three-pointer. Not this time. Now the Celtics have the crowd back into it, looking to cut the lead inside 10. Pierce feeling it. No shyness considering he's in his first NBA game.
The Raptors have to be careful here not to get into Celtic tempo. What Boston wants to do is get up and down the court, get some easy baskets in transition, and then create opportunities for pressure defense.
What a play by McGrady. Had a mismatch on Kenny Anderson, and the Raptors take advantage.
Tracy McGrady, a much improved basketball player here in only the first night, making some smart moves, reading the defense very well, playing with a lot more poise and composure than he demonstrated last year.
He's got 11, just as Vince Carter does. Pierce on to Christie. Nice jump stop. Can't finish, but Riley will. Back-to-back times down the floor. Riley with the offensive rebound and the putback.
Kevin Willis turned and checked out Riley's number. He realizes he's got to put a body on Riley. You can't give him a lane to the basket with that kind of size. He'll hurt you.
McGrady won't go down. Won't go down again. One more time, and the toughest shot of all is the one that he finishes.
3 attempts by Tracy McGrady. You talk about working out in the weight room, bench pressing, pushing up the pounds. That's the kind of situation where it really pays off.
He had a strong finish to last season, which coincided with Butch Carter taking over the Raptors. He gave McGrady more minutes, more confidence.
Right here, he lays it up, can't get it, goes up, makes a good tip effort, can't get it again, but hangs in. He's back for yet another try and finally banks it off and protects the basketball well with his body, lays the shoulders into the defensive man, and then banks it off the glass.
Those extra 15 pounds appear to mean a lot for Tracy McGrady.
It gives you more confidence when you're a young player. You come back stronger, you can feel it, you realize you can do some things that you weren't able to do without that added body strength.
Well, a mixture, as we said, of youth and experience. We asked one of the veterans on the Raptors to tell us how he feels about Tracy McGrady.
I say it can be the next Scottie Pippen, and just working and put effort to working every day, and knowing that, you know, he can't cut corners because, you know, all eyes is on him. And when he cut corners, I think guys on the team, the coaching staff, is going to get on him. So if he can just come out every day and just practice and play up to par and what coaches expect of him and what we expect him on this team to be his role. And his role is to do a lot. And I know he's young, but he chose to come out and be in a position, so he's going to have to handle it.
And he appears to be handling it much better here very early in his second season in the NBA. Let's go to David Amber.
All right, thanks, Dan. I'm here with the general manager of the Raptors, Glenn Grunwald. Glenn, you said you wanted to add some big, tough guys. So far, so good. Kevin Willis, a double-double already.
Right. I like our intensity and our effort so far today. There's a lot of basketball left to be played, so I hope we can hang on.
Excellent. Good luck then the rest of the way. Thank you very much. Back to you, Dan.
Thank you, David. Kevin Willis having a huge night. Doug Christie helping out offensively as well. Carter and McGrady, the young guys, really stepping it up. Kevin Willis may be trying to work out a cramp as he is down at the end of the court. He is not coming back into the game right now, but he is not sitting on the bench, and he may have pulled something as he gets worked on, and the crowd gets right back into it here at the Fleet Center. Walker left alone, misses the shot. Oakley clears the glass, and he'll have to do a lot of that until Willis returns to the game. Again, the Raptors try to go with the small lineup with Oakley at center and Slater at a power forward.
2 minutes remaining in the quarter.
Inside 2 minutes to play, third quarter. Brown. Riley looking for the rebound. Tip back up and in by Slater.
Reggie Slater just gives you a yeoman's effort when he's on the court. Never complains, always making a contribution, great attitude, and just puts in that extra effort and converts on that play.
The Raptors have equaled their largest lead of the night. It's 79-65. Bruce Bowen is hammered by Slater on the other end.
Reggie Slater also understands that he's not going to get, generally speaking, the minutes that cause him to have to protect himself from a foul situation.
Well, it's early, but that has to be a concern for the Raptors as well. Willis at 36 years of age is going to be asked to play more minutes than last year, games more often than last year because of the condensed schedule, and obviously the back is a problem right now. You wonder about teams like Houston with Olajuwon, Pippen, Barkley, all in their mid-30s, how this kind of a season is going to affect them. Will it be a young team like the Celtics or an older team like the Rockets who really benefit the most from the schedule? Bruce Bowen can't connect.
One thing that veteran players understand that rookie players may not, and that is the element of pace. How to pace their body in a way that they allow it to catch up to the demands of the season.
What's funny about Kevin Willis, as he's lying on his stomach in the corner, he is absolutely screaming at his teammates on the floor. Make sure you got your man. Come back and help the guards. He's not letting up just because he's not in the game. Ron Mercer returns. Very quiet tonight. The bad knee was questionable to start this game. A big brace on the right knee. There he is. Grady had it knocked away, but it's Toronto ball.
You see Ron Mercer shoot. He's such a great jump shooter from mid-range, you've got to believe that that knee is on his mind. He made a comment before the game. He says, well, it's 90%. And I'll tell you, your knees is such an important part of basketball with your stopping and cutting demands and your jumping demands. If you're not at 100%, it preys on your mind. And if you're a jump shooter and you're thinking about it, or you're thinking of holding back and not exploding, it's going to affect your ability to convert.
Violation committed by the Raptors there as they walked while trying to inbound it, something you can only do after a made a basket, so the Celtics will take over. Riley with the balls. Had some moments here for Boston in the third quarter. Mercer now just 1 of 5 from the floor. A quiet 2-point night. And Reggie Slater with an illegal screen got the hip into Paul Pierce.
And he knew that one. Reggie realized he didn't have position. He had the right idea, but he just didn't have position to avoid the violation.
Number 4 on Slater. If Willis can't return, then Slater and Oakley may not get a chance to leave. So fouls have become important as Pierce sneaks by McGrady for the deuce. 15 in his first game. Trouble here. Alvin Williams gets free of it. Got to get it over, and he does. Down to wait on the shot clock. Williams from the baseline had it blocked. Final 30 seconds of the quarter. Barros. The last guy on the Celtic team you can leave alone out there.
He's a great three-point shooter.
Remember, he hit the 3 right at the end of the first half. Now he hits one right at the end of the third quarter, although the Raptors, if they can hang on to the ball, get the final shot, leading by 9. D. Brown in command right now with the Mercer on him. 5 seconds. Oakley. His first bucket of the night comes with 1/10 of a second left in the quarter.
All that practice pays off. Charles Oakley's been working on his outside shot all during preseason. Finally, he connects, and it's an important basket.
Right as the third quarter comes to a close, the Raptors will take an 11-point lead to the fourth quarter here in Boston. Celtics making a little bit of a run toward the end of the third quarter, but then Charles Oakley gets his first bucket as a Raptor, and it's a big one.
Well, you see here, D. Brown draws the defensive player. Oakley just squares up and holds the follow through, good balance, and buries it out. Keeps the Raptors in double-digit lead.
Not a scorer, but every little bit helps from Charles Oakley's position. He's in there to defend and rebound. Ron Mercer, who is a scorer, having trouble doing that tonight. And the Celtics haven't had much help for Antoine Walker at the offensive end. Third quarter stats, Raptors have brought the shooting up a little bit. Still great from the line. Rebounds, big story.
It's a big story, and the Raptors doing the job on the boards now. If Willis doesn't come back, they're going to have to play harder. He's back now. They rubbed out with it. That was a cramp or a tug muscle. He had a little bit of heating pad on it during a timeout, and now he's back. Tremendous enthusiasm for the game. Not only does he bring veteran status, he brings that enthusiasm, that extra effort. That's going to rub off on all the players.
See how he does. See if that back holds up. Walker with Oakley on him again. Starting the fourth quarter, an 81-70 lead for the Raptors. There are other options at backup center for the Raptors. Michael Stewart at 6'10" is a player they signed from Sacramento, a player the Celtics coveted but didn't get. We haven't seen him. He's not in great shape at this point. Also Sean Marks as Dana Barros gets inside Oakley the block. Sean Marks, a 6'10" rookie out of California, who when he plays will become the first ever player from New Zealand to play in the NBA, but neither one of them in great shape right now. So when Willis has been out, Oakley's played center. D. Brown upset. Feeling his teammates weren't executing. Long 3, tipped back up, and Pierce comes out with it.
McGrady again sticking his nose in the thick of things, trying to keep that basketball alive. Got his hands on it, but missed it.
Walker going to work, and Willis forced to commit the foul. Walker, one of the players from Kentucky that Tino coached before. Mercer and McCarty, the others.
See Antoine Walker here taking real estate down on the baseline.
Charles Oakley and Dana Barros have each just been assessed technical fouls. Second time tonight we've had double technicals. Is the ankle's all right for Barros, who's come back in and hit a three since he's returned and hit another three. Can't leave him alone. One of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. Celtics back within 8. Christie at the other end, and a foul on the floor on Paul Pierce.
You can feel the intensity in this ball game, which has been fairly high throughout, picking up to another notch right here. The Celtics, the Raptors are starting to get very physical with each other. That's extending over. A little chippy talk. You're going to see a very hard fourth quarter here.
Probably two reasons for that. One is in a 50-game season, every game's more important, and secondly, they've already played twice. They met twice in the last 10 days in the preseason, so they've had a chance to start disliking one another already. Here's baseline by Christie, tries for the huge finish. Alvin Williams came over to contest it. A flagrant foul has been called.
Well, that gets the fans excited right here, but Alvin Williams came across. He went hard, but it's got to be, you got to ask, is that flagrant? I mean, he comes here, he got his hands extended, and he wrapped his arm around it. I think that's what drew the official to call it flagrant, but he may have been simply trying to keep his balance because there was contact in the air. Nobody had their feet down. Williams had his left hand up for the block, but wrapped his right arm.
And the significance of that is after the free throws by Pierce, Boston retains possession.
Now, that was an aggressive move by Alvin Williams across the baseline. I certainly don't think when you look at the replay you'd see any ill intent made there. I just think he went so hard he lost his balance after the contact and reached out with the right arm.
1 of 2 for Pierce, but the Celtics are back within 7 and still have the ball with 10.5 minutes to play.
The Raptors have to answer the bell right here because the Celtics certainly are gaining momentum here. The crowd coming back in the ball game. You got to have a good defensive stop.
Mercer. Loose ball, D. Brown. Break for the Raptors. The Celtics had their hands on that one initially. Oakley dribbling more than Butch Carter probably would like.
You sense that extra defensive pressure. Celtics out at the next level of defense, closing off all the passing lanes. The Raptors give up the dribble. They have nowhere to pass the basketball. How they respond to this increase in intensity and defense will determine the outcome of this ball game.
D. Brown, tough shot.
The confidence of a veteran. D. Brown's been there before. He looked up. He's got rhythm. He buries a big shot.
A veteran with a lot of character coming off the bench in the backcourt for the Raptors extends the lead to 9. Antoine Walker can't answer. And Christie doing a good job to keep Pierce away. Still Raptor ball. Timeout with 9:44 to play in the fourth quarter. Can the Raptors hold off the Celtics and win the opener on the road? Raptors by 9, early fourth quarter here in Boston. Dan Shulman, Brian Haney, and David Amber with you. And tied at the end of a quarter when the Raptors had an outstanding second quarter and have led since. They've had 2 big offensive weapons. One inside and one outside. Kevin Willis and Doug Christie each with 21, and the youngsters Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter both getting involved as well. Antoine Walker started huge for the Celtics. Look how he's slowed down, though. He has not scored in the second half. Paul Pierce in his NBA debut with 16, and Dana Barros has 3 threes. He's become a factor. Ron Mercer with a very quiet night. But Antoine Walker 17 in the first half, nothing in the second half. What have the Raptors done better?
Well, I think they're helping out a lot more. Every time he touches the basketball, they're getting somebody to collapse halfway down, reach in. When he puts the ball on the floor, they're digging it out. So he's got a player and a half to contend with early in the game. He was isolating himself, and he was able to take Charles Oakley in the first half of the first quarter in particular. But once Oakley got some help in that matchup, things started to change.
That's where a healthy Mercer might be a nice second option for the Celtics, but he's not himself tonight.
They need Ron Mercer.
Left hand, D. Brown, too strong. Barros and he was standing out of bounds when he caught the pass.
Dana Barros just running a little too wide in transition, got his heel on the sideline.
Alvin Williams with Mercer on him. Barrow selects to take D. Brown.
Alvin Williams doing a great job tonight organizing this team. Very vocal, good communication.
Up and under by Kevin Willis. That's pretty. 23 for Willis.
He's got some quickness down on that baseline. He turns his back to you. If he gets a foot on the baseline, he turns awful quick.
Barking out instructions. Kevin Willis on D. Brown. Now comes over to help Oakley, who commits the foul on Walker. And again, some looks between Oakley and Walker.
Raptors foul number 34, Charles Oakley. That's his third personal.
Nothing wrong with teams disliking one another and showing the fans that the games are important.
Well, Charles Oakley, when he gets in a situation where Walker gets him down that low because of his offensive skills, Oakley needs to give up half a step, because if Walker feels the body touch right there, he's got the quickness and the drop step to take Oakley apart down on the baseline.
Kenny Anderson back in for Boston. Here's Walker trying to go to work on Oakley, who backs off, and Walker finally has his first points of the second half.
Now you're going to see something develop between Oakley and Walker if this matchup continues down the last 8 minutes of the game. They're starting to chat at each other after every move, both trying to rise to the occasion.
Kevin Willis already with 23. Jump hook and a foul. Such a different dimension that Willis and Oakley bring to the Raptors. When you think back of the big men the Raptors have had in their short history, players like Oliver Miller and John Tabak, this is a very different story here.
Yeah, it is, and you can see it tonight when you start to talk about things like winning the battle of the backboards, commanding the rebounding game, doing the job defensively inside, and adding that offensive punch down in the post. It changes every aspect of basketball for the Toronto Raptor organization.
And leadership and character, things on the floor, a lot more communicating tonight than we've seen from past Raptor teams.
And allows the younger players to relax a little bit. If they make an error, they make a turnover, they know they're going to have an opportunity to get it back. It's not, everything's not pinned on what I do, it's more pinned on what we do when you start to wrap in that veteran leadership into a group.
Willis with 25 points, and the Raptors, Brian, 26 of 29 from the line.
You got to shoot well on the foul line when you're on the road in order to win a basketball game. The Raptors delivering tonight from the stripe.
The tee back into the game for Riley for the Celtics. Mercer trying to test that knee. Drew the foul underneath. Pretty strong move for a guy favoring his knee.
Well, you start to get into a ball game, time with 7 and 53 left, and it's a close ball game. Your instincts begin to take over, and the thought of that injury starts to recede. You see Ron Mercer go for the jugular there. He had the isolation. He wanted to take up that real estate on the baseline. He went very aggressively to the basket.
Now Anderson up top. Celtics a little stagnant right now offensively. Not a lot of movement. Try to isolate Mercer, who this time will shoot over Carter and hit it. Mercer's worked a lot on that outside shot in college, primarily a guy who took it to the basket, now trying to extend his range.
And he's not a deep range jump shooter, but he's a very effective mid-range jump shooter, and they need that in terms of Kenny Anderson, the point guard for the Celtics. When he penetrates, if he can draw the defense, he can create that mid-range opportunity for Mercer. Mercer doesn't have to create his own shot. He just has to make the shots that Kenny Anderson delivers for him.
Kevin Willis couldn't handle the bounce pass from Doug Christie, thinking about the dunk perhaps before he had the ball, as the Raptors let an opportunity get away. Still leading by 9 in the fourth quarter. Celtics won all 3 matchups last year, won both exhibition games this year handily, and have a 9-2 lifetime advantage on the Raptors. Look at the spin move by Walker.
That's a tremendous move. He goes right down to the baseline, and here you see Antoine Walker starting to hop right in Charles Oakley's face. That's probably a mistake.
21 for Walker. Pierce all over Christie.
With Pitino up on the sideline, exhorting his players to tighten up on the defense.
Nice play by Tony Batiste. As the Raptors try to force it inside and the Celtics try to deny. They've gotten themselves back within 7. 6:53 to play. Brian, the Raptors try to exploit the advantage that Kevin Willis has inside, and they're really forcing the ball inside, maybe becoming a little predictable.
Well, they can't afford to do that. They've got to move the basketball, open it up, move it side to side, create some opportunities to go down the middle. And this offensive possession coming out of this timeout is very important for the Raptors. It's a 7-point lead. The Celtics haven't been down under 7 for a quarter and a half. You're going to feel this whole building rise to the occasion. If the Celtics get a stop here and they come back the other way, that 6th man that Auerbach talked about, they're going to come right back into the ballgame right here.
Coming up Sunday here on TSN, coverage of the final NFL game of the season, NFL Countdown, and then the Pro Bowl Sunday afternoon here on TSN. A couple of things we have not seen from the Toronto Raptors tonight. We talked about no Michael Stewart, no John Wallace, somewhat surprisingly. And I don't think we've seen Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter on the floor at the same time. They have been replacing one another, but certainly as they both develop, they're capable of playing together because each of them versatile enough to play a couple different positions.
And Butch Carter, while they are versatile, Butch Carter, in recognition of Vince Carter being a rookie, has tried to play him down at that forward slot, whereas McGrady has picked up some time at both the forward slot and at the point guard slot. Yes. And at some very crucial times in the game has Tracy McGrady been at that point position.
9 seconds on the shot clock, and you're right. If the Raptors don't convert here, the crowd is going to be on its feet. Trying to help the Celtics out. 3 on the shot clock. Willis with a jump hook.
He has been spectacular this evening. He has done it all. He's rebounded. He's run the lane in transition. He's posted up. And he's been an active part of all the communication on the ball team on the floor. 27 points, 15 rebounds for Kevin Willis. Mercer, no. Raptors will play again tomorrow night in Washington as Vince Carter has the shot block. Raptors retain possession. And we'll begin to see as the season goes along how the Willises and Oakleys, when they play 2 in a row or 4 in 5 nights, as the Raptors will to begin the season, how they respond. But at this stage, Dan, you've got to take one game at a time. Yeah. And as you mentioned, every victory counts. So you know that the ball players are not going to hold anything back. They've got to step out on the court, win every game that they go out to play, and then see what happens. Christie with a 3. A huge couple of trips for the Raptors. First the jump hook by Willis, then the 3 by Christie, and all of a sudden the lead is back to 12. Doug Christie having a little conversation with the official as he came back on defense there, asking for a little observation to make sure that he's not getting hit and delivering that jump shot. Now he squeezes the rebound. Numbers. Nice. Oakley. Carter! Oh, Charles Oakley, recognizing who he had on his right shoulder in Vince Carter, just laid it up there in the general vicinity of the rim, and Vince Carter went up and got it and took it home. 7-0 run for the Raptors. The Celtics, if they chose to, would be unable to call a timeout. They have used them all tonight already, so they'll have to go the rest of the way. And that's shot clock expires, and the Raptors will take over. And you look at a situation where Rick Pitino uses those timeouts again very early in the season. His compulsion is to coach, to teach, to organize the team. Takes the stop of the clock in order to do that, and then finds himself in a situation that's less than optimum here, where he's not able to stop the clock and break the momentum of the Raptors. Raptors still with 4 timeouts, but why use them at this point and give the Celtics any chance to regroup? First couple of years, first 3 years for the Raptors, they would lead into the 4th quarter, and more often than not, a veteran team would come at them, challenge them, and win. The Raptors would fade late, but with some more veterans on the team, they are not fading late here tonight. And those veterans have translated into excellent offensive looks. Good shots from good areas of the court. Christie. Another 3-pointer for Doug Christie. He's in rhythm right now. When he gets that stroke down, he gets an opportunity to set his feet underneath him. He is an excellent outside shooter. Christie and Willis each with 27. Raptors with their largest lead of the night on a 10-0 run. From the corner, Pierce. Rebound of Vince Carter. And a foul underneath as Walker and Oakley were going at it again.
And I think Oakley has been called. Kevin Willis.
Charles Oakley is in on a lot of things off the ball all night long. He's into people's ear. He's connecting on the rebound. He'll come down. If he's gotten beat a couple times on the baseline, he's not going to give you the free shot. He's going to hook you and stop your progress. He's a positional basketball player, and he's ever present down inside.
Battie at the line. What a huge boost for the Raptors it would be to win one on the road in the opener. I asked Glenn Grunwald, the GM, a couple of days ago about the schedule, and everybody's got it bad this year. But I said, what's tough about your schedule? He said 4 of the first 5 on the road. That's a tough way to start. Be a big confidence boost to this team to pick up a road win.
Here you see the Celtics with the extended pressure now. They've got to, the clock is against them, so they're going to bring that 4th level or 4th degree of defensive pressure on every opportunity.
Raptors will try not to rush it. Willis, way strong. Offensive rebound, Carter. Offensive rebound, Oakley. It's Charles Oakley. Nothing fancy. Just get the ball.
He's a blue-collar worker. He'll get down. He stays in until possession is lost. Works hard on the offensive glass. Puts himself in a position where he can get to the foul line. Just hard work, good concentration.
Just 2 points on the night, but 8 big rebounds. Raptors with a 50-37 rebound advantage on the Celtics. Dana Barros back in, trying to get a little three-point shooting. Eric Riley also back in for the Celtics.
The Raptors have played defense well enough that they haven't allowed the Celtics to score and then get that full-court pressure set up in that trapping game. So it's given them an opportunity where they've been able to actually defend the Celtics and not get in a situation where they've turned the basketball over. They haven't had to face the trap as much as they have on other occasions.
Just a few minutes ago, the lead was 7. The crowd was on fire. The Celtics looked like they were making a run, and those 3 trips by the Raptors where they converted on each really took the crowd right out of it. Now they're starting to head for the exits with under 4 minutes to play. Barros bumped by Oakley, still Boston ball.
You see Charles Oakley working hard right out at the hash mark on defense, trying to help out his teammate, involving himself, doing all the little things that make for great contributions to an overall team effort.
Riley looking for help. Bump from behind by Willis. Couple of 7-footers going at it. Pierce, and a block is called. D. Brown, not a starter, but looking like a finisher here tonight. He's gotten a lot of minutes.
You know, the last 3 field goals by the Raptors, you had Kevin Willis down inside and then Doug Christie delivering 2 clutch jump shots from outside. Again, the shooter taking the outside shot, the postman taking the correct shot inside, took the energy right out of this building. Just felt it drain out.
Very good night for Pierce in his debut. Celtics will be home tomorrow night to Cleveland. Raptors in Washington tomorrow night, so no rest for the weary on either side. Again, trying to set up the pressure, but again the Raptors break it with relative ease.
They certainly were organized tonight. When they did face pressure, they had opportunities for easy outlet passes and executed very well.
Kevin Willis commits the foul. Number 4 on him. Celtics will get it back with under 3.5 to play and a 16-point deficit. Celtics quickly running out of time. Antoine Walker not even in this game right now. And we've got another injury. 5 on 4 right now. This time it's Eric Riley who appears to have turned his ankle for the Celtics. He's trying to hobble back down into the play. Willis can't take advantage, but boy, Boston looking at some real potential problems here early.
Yeah, Rick Pitino talked about in a shortened season, if you had a little bit of luck, things could go your way. And the Celtics certainly have been bitten by the injury bug. Nags and sprains here and ankle turns tonight. Dana Barros went over, Eric Riley went over. They can't seem to get away from it.
Pierce, baseline, spinning. Might have gotten away with an extra step, but a nice finish nonetheless.
Very nice move. A wide array of skills that Paul Pierce demonstrated tonight. A little bit on the backboards, outside shooting, ability there to take the one-on-one move down on the baseline and spin back. He's got excellent basketball skills.
D. Brown dribbles through the pressure, then threw it away. Barros looking for it. Riley all alone. Kevin Willis didn't get back down the floor that trip.
Now there's a situation where Kevin Willis and Charles Oakley haven't had much of a breather here in the fourth quarter. Both stood and watched on that conversion and then transition opportunity.
Just 2:11 to play. Raptors will try to hang on. They've got a 12-point lead on Boston. As you can see, a few more yellow seats visible here at the Fleet Center than there were just a few minutes ago. Some of the fans have decided to beat traffic, and the reason they have done that is after the Celtics got back within 7 midway through the fourth quarter, the Raptors answered with 3 consecutive buckets, which seemed to have broken the Celtics' run.
They really come out of their timeout very organized here. Doug Christie goes right back inside to Kevin Willis, who turns and executes a nice little half jump hook. An excellent shot for him. Then we see on the right side, Charles Oakley going to put his hands on the boards, but senses Christie right to his right shoulder. Christie delivers the 3, nothing but net. We come back for the third shot. Christie now believing he can make that shot on the left side of the court, releases it up to Oakley here. Oakley lays it up. Vince Carter comes right behind, goes up and gets it and slams it home. The Raptors playing team basketball, helping one another out, taking the right shot.
Huge night for Kevin Willis. Doug Christie with a big night as well. Ron Mercer only 4 points, and that knee obviously a problem. Celtics have been out of timeouts for a while, and free throws a huge story as well. Not only the fact that Toronto has been able to make them, but that they've been able to get to the line that much. Willis has gotten there. Carter has gotten there. McGrady did a nice job playing aggressively and getting to the line when he was in the game as well.
Nobody fading away, backing away. Everybody taking the challenge, going right to the backboard, driving hard to the hoop. That creates contact. They step to the line and they deliver.
And Butch Carter obviously not comfortable with a 12-point lead with 2:11 to play. Oakley and Willis still in the game, along with Christie and Carter. D. Brown on the floor as well. Carter has fun playing the game. He smiles in a warm-up. He smiles during the game. He talks to the fans sitting in the first row. He's got a real great attitude about it all, and he's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Raptors have really done the job on the backboards tonight. 50-38 edge on the boards. That's not a position that they were often in last year.
Barros underneath, has to kick it back out to Pierce. 2 minutes to play. Pierce hits the deck. Now he's in trouble. The Raptors will tie him up. And now Pierce getting a taste of Charles Oakley's aggressive play firsthand.
See Oakley again. He saw Pierce wind up from the sideline going down to the baseline. Oakley left his man, came right down, wanted to get involved in that, gave a little help defense. Pierce saw him coming and then lost his footing. That doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but it's an effect that Charles Oakley has on a basketball team.
Those who like Oakley call him a blue-collar worker as he knocks it out of bounds. Those who don't like him at times have called him a thug in the NBA, but whatever you want to call him, the Raptors need it. It'll be Boston ball. Bruce Bowen back into the game. Nice feed inside. Riley got tied up by Oakley, who just took it away. And you begin to see why Oakley made the NBA's second team all defensive team last year. Brown kicks it back out for Willis. Not this time. Rebound Riley. Looks like the Raptors are going to walk out of here with a win.
It's a big win for the Raptors organization. Big win for the team in the shortened season. Come down here playing against a team that's probably rated in the bottom third of the conference along with the Raptors. So they beat a team that they should beat and need to beat as they begin their climb up the ladder.
Inside, Butch Carter's got to be feeling pretty good about things right now, even though outwardly he still looks a little bit concerned. The Celtics considered to be a fringe playoff team. If things go their way, maybe they can play 500, sneak into the playoffs in the East, which is not as strong as the West this year. And the Raptors thought to be down near the bottom.
Well, the Celtics have to be healthy if they're going to deliver on those expectations, and they're not healthy here tonight.
Nice finish by Vince Carter, 16 points. Good help by Willis. Tony Battie over Oakley. 102-90 for the Raptors. The big second quarter, the difference in this game, and then they withstood several charges by the Celtics in the second half.
Raptors using the clock to their advantage.
Celtics foul to number 40, Tony Battie.
Tony Battie commits the foul.
His 6th personal foul. Team limit.
Tracy McGrady had some fun. Alvin Williams, a very good game. Didn't get a chance to see John Wallace. It's a developing story in Raptorland. Reggie Slater had some good minutes for Toronto. At some point, the Raptors will need John Wallace. They'll need Michael Stewart, a guy who can back up Willis and Oakley, a good shot blocker, good rebounder. But tonight, Butch Carter went with the veterans, and looks like he's on his way to a win.
They did the job, and of course veterans complemented by young players. Vince Carter having a great start in his first game in the NBA.
Reggie Slater back in for the final few seconds. Charles Oakley will get a little bit of a rest and a partial standing ovation from his teammates as they all get up to applaud his work tonight. Poor old Kevin Willis is stuck at the line, so he doesn't have a chance to get out of this game. Oakley leaves with 4 points and 9 rebounds. Coutinho said earlier today the preseason means nothing, and he was right. Boston beat the Raptors handily twice in the preseason and will lose by double digits, it appears, here on their home court to open what could be a very promising season for the Celtics, but they are getting partially booed off the floor on opening night by the few who have stuck around for the bitter end.
There'd be no tolerance for a lackluster performance, and probably no acceptance of the fact that the Celtics were not at full strength.
Final few seconds will tick away, and the Raptors are going to 1-0, beating the Celtics. The barrel shot will go down, so it's a 103-92 final. Kevin Willis, an outstanding